A few years ago, I had a very unhealthy relationship with food. I would constantly yo-yo back and forth from binge eating to then restricting my food. And as a result of this, I gained a lot of weight. However, since then, I have since healed my relationship with food, stopped binge eating, and also lost around 13 kg in total. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly how I did that. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Hetty. I'm a personal trainer and online fitness coach. As a quick disclaimer, in this video I am going to be covering topics around eating disorders and binge eating, so if you do find that at all triggering in any way, feel free to skip this video. However, I am also going to be leaving timestamps in the description box below, so feel free to check that out if you want to skip to a certain point. I actually started my first diet when I was around 7 or 8 years old. As a very young child, I already started to dabble in the realms of the diet industry and the weight loss industry.
Is butter a carb?
I always remember having this struggle with food and my weight. I would look at my other friends and think that they were a lot thinner, they were a lot skinnier than me. Parents' fault, but they would try to restrict my food at times. They would try to put me on a diet or try to encourage me to lose weight when I was getting older, around 10, 11 and 12. As I got old, people around me would start to comment on things like my weight, and I think just as a natural part of growing up, children do fluctuate with their weight. They will go through periods of gaining a little bit more, when some people call it puppy fat. I started to develop some of that puppy fat, and because I was comparing myself so much to my friends and wishing that I wanted to look like them, and then also adults who were around me who would try to restrict my food, I think that all of those kind of underlying issues did contribute to, unfortunately for me, developed into numerous eating disorders. So that obviously was a big part of my relationship with food, and it did obviously influence a large portion of my life. I really struggled to ever see food as food. It was always sort of the enemy. If it was always something that I was trying to avoid, whether it was trying to plan my meals to a T, believing that if I ate certain foods they would make me gain weight, to then binge eating in secrecy because I just felt so deprived and so mentally and physically restricted. So a large portion of my years when I was younger was battling these numerous eating disorders and struggling with that constant yo-yo of restricting my food to then binge eating, and then falling into bulimia and over-exercising as well. It was a very sort of chaotic time, and my weight never seemed to sort of stabilize. It was always just like my relationship with food, it would yo-yo. However, a little side note that I want to mention that I think a lot of people really overlook and don't actually acknowledge and get to the root issue of is the reason why they gain weight in the first place. So a lot of people will look outside of themselves for the perfect diet and think that that diet is going to be the key and answer to all their problems. It's going to stop them from overeating. It's going to help them lose weight and keep it off for the long term. However, an external thing is never actually going to address the root issue, and the root issue is the underlying reasons and causes for you to gain weight in the first place. So what is it that's actually causing them to gain all of this amount of weight? And usually a lot of the time, and especially with my history, my personal experience, and from a professional point of view from the clients that I've also worked with, is the underlying issues are normally, it comes down to our relationship with food in the first place, whether that's soothe uncomfortable emotions, we're emotional eating and overeating, or we might actually just have a compulsive overeating habit that has always been there or maybe developed over time, and it's now become very automatic. As well as this, another contributing factor can also be, like I said, our relationship with food. Maybe you've come from a past on severe restricting and constant yo-yo dieting, which of course is naturally going to influence how you behave and how you look at food later on in life. From my personal experience, I'd had a very unhealthy relationship with food from the ages of 7 years old, so I never actually had a normal relationship with it. I was always looking at food as a source of how can I lose weight, how can I manipulate my food, and naturally and inevitably that then led me down a path of restricting my food, binge eating, and numerous eating disorders, like I've already mentioned. So the number one thing that I think holds a lot of people back when it comes to losing weight and maintaining a healthy, balanced weight and healthy relationship with food is actually that they're looking outside of themselves for a specific diet plan. They're looking for number one diet plan that's going to solve all their issues, and actually what it's actually about is getting to the root of the problem. It's actually getting to the root of why you are using food to numb out, why you are overeating, why are you binge eating, and solving those key issues first, and then finding that losing weight after that becomes so much easier, because it's really just like putting a band-aid over a broken leg. Unless you actually heal the broken leg, or a band-aid is never actually going to solve the issue. So looking outside of ourselves for a new diet plan, a new workout plan, is never actually going to solve the issue until we actually look at the root cause of why we are gaining weight in the first place. By the age of 20, I'd pretty much tried and failed at every single diet I could think of. Since healing my relationship with food and working around my relationship with food, I'd actually discovered that actually I was using food to cope with a lot of things and emotionally overeat. So I would regularly, when I was feeling stressed or overwhelmed or just needed a timeout, I would turn to food as a way to cope, or eat something sugary to make me feel better. And this over time became a very habitual habit and behavior that I never actually realized. Again, I was always looking outside of myself for, okay, I need to get a new diet to get my eating better and help me lose weight. Actually, the root issue was I was turning to food to cope for a lot of these things. And because I repeated that behavior so many times, I'd built up this habitual behavior that was very ingrained of overeating, so compulsively overeating. So during any time of stress or boredom, I developed a habit and behavior around food that would make me want to binge eat or overeat. So as a result of all of this, weight never actually stabilized. I was always like losing and then gaining weight and then losing weight again. I always felt like come Monday, I was like, right, I'm gonna get back on it. I'm gonna start tracking my calories. I'm gonna stick to my workout plan. And nothing ever worked, because by Tuesday, Wednesday, I'd fallen off track. I'd then go and overeat again, and then I'd be back in this cycle of feeling guilty about what I'd eaten, feeling so far behind from where I wanted to be, and feeling like a complete failure that I'd never actually lose the weight and get to a place where I feel healthy and happy and confident in my body. I never actually felt confident in my body. I felt like I was stuck in this cycle of needing to then over-exercise again to try and burn off the calories that I'd already over-consumed. And as a result of this played a massive part in my mental health, my social life and my relationship with my friends and my family, because when you're struggling with this, it actually takes up a large portion of your time, obviously, and a large portion of your life. So when I was with friends and family, mentally I wasn't with them. Like, I was so mentally focused on how much food I'd eaten that day or how much I had left to eat. I was stressed, I was tired from working out, and never actually got to enjoy time with friends and family. Or I would skip up on meeting up with friends because I would rather go and do a workout so that I could burn off the calories, because that made me feel a little bit calmer. I actually lost out on a lot of precious time with friends and family due to my relationship with food and due to my relationship with my body and my struggle with overeating and binge eating. So it really was a very sort of sad and stressful and isolating time. And because of this, I would use exercise as a way to, again, just manipulate my body even more. So my relationship with exercise was actually very chaotic as well. I would just use exercise as a means to burn calories, try and lose weight as much as possible. That only fueling my unhealthy relationship with food and my body. So my weight would just constantly fluctuate, because under-eating 1 minute and then overeating the next. But I was putting my body in a constant state of stress because I was over-exercising all of the time. I was trying to burn off all these calories. It was only ever putting more of a band-aid on top of the broken leg. It wasn't actually getting to the root cause of the reason why I was struggling with my weight and why I was struggling so much with my relationship with food. there was something that needed to change, because I'd been doing the same thing expecting a different result. A big thing that helped me was get clear on what it was that I actually wanted. What did I want? Because just stating a number on a scale and saying I want to weigh this much really didn't mean anything. It needed to be about, okay, how do I actually want to live my life? How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel in my body? Like, how do I want to interact with other people? What do I want my lifestyle to look like? Like, how much time and energy am I willing to put into my health and my fitness? What kind of foods do I actually want to eat on a day-to-day basis? And is that realistic? And is that sustainable? This is the problem with a lot of diet plans out there, but some of them will put their clients on a very restrictive diet to get them to a specific weight loss goal, but then they become so stuck because there's then nothing else that they can do after. That's not a sustainable plan for them long term, so then they revert right back to where they started. So I really had to get clear on, okay, how do I actually want my future to look like when it comes to my body, my relationship with food, exercise, my lifestyle? What does that look like, and what does that feel like, and what am I willing to do to get to there and actually stay there? Because a key thing to remember is whatever plan, and I say this to my clients all the time, but whatever plan you do to achieve a certain fitness, health and weight loss goal, you've got to expect to do that for the rest of your life. Because if you're only willing to do it for 8-12 weeks and then go back to how you was living your life before, you're not going to be able to maintain and sustain those results. So whatever tool and method you use to get to that specific weight loss goal, you've got to be prepared to maintain and do that for the rest of your life. I actually started to look at people around me and people that I felt inspired by. I would look at certain people that I found inspiring in the sense of I liked how they lived their life. I liked how they was able to still go out and enjoy foods with their friends. They was able to socialize. They was able to eat out, but also they lived that healthy and fit lifestyle. Luckily for me, I'd actually worked in the fitness industry, so fitness wasn't something necessarily new to me. However, like I said, I'd always had a very unhealthy relationship with fitness because it was always a means to lose weight. So it was also about looking at other people and how their relationship with exercise looked different to mine. I noticed from looking around and being around different people in the industry that they actually worked out because they actually enjoyed it, or they was doing a specific sport and trying to get better at that specific sport. So being around a lot of different people within the fitness industry massively helped me in a way. Prior to that, I'd only ever seen from supermodels on Instagram, I'd only ever associated exercise with weight loss. So it was about shifting my mindset about exercise and what would it look like for me to have a relationship with exercise where it felt good and something that I could maintain for the long term, and what would it mean for me to have a healthy relationship with exercise and something that I actually enjoyed doing. Asking myself those questions and being really specific on what I wanted my future to look like when it came to health and fitness. I do think there needs to be a self-acceptance piece of like, okay, this is my body, how can I improve it? I know I'm never going to get another person's body because I'm not another person. So I suppose in a way I had to get realistic in that sense and just get real with myself that this is my body, how can I improve it, and how can I get to a place of feeling good within my body, get into a body weight where I am happy and healthy in myself, where I feel confident in myself without constantly restricting my food. So the type of bodies that I would look at changed over time, because when I was really struggling with my relationship with food, I would look at these really unrealistic body types that are completely different to mine, like looking at tall, skinny supermodels when I am a lot shorter and I just naturally have more muscle than a lot of those models. It actually changed in the types of bodies that I would look at and aspire to look like. So that massively shifted my mindset, and also looking at more realistic bodies. I do think Instagram and social media has come a long way since when I was struggling with my relationship with food. It's now a much healthier place to be sometimes when it comes to health and fitness. People are a lot more happy to share realistic body type and show other people, you know, having a few rolls when you're sat down is totally normal. That again was a big factor in shifting my mind to a more realistic goal when it came to my health and my fitness and my body type. I am a big foodie, in case you've not realised. I love food. However, a big part of my history was denying that part of me. So I constantly was trying to fight off my love of food because I was trying to look like a certain person that I was never going to be. So yeah, I would look at other people. They do have a healthy relationship with food. They do eat out, they will have pizza like that, and they won't feel guilty about it. However, they won't also overeat. They don't binge. They also will have healthy foods. They might choose a salad instead of a burger, not because they're trying to restrict their food, but because they want to feel good. The more I sort of connected to it and the realization of that actually that was the kind of relationship with food that I wanted. I wanted to feel healthy. I didn't want to be attached to a food tracker my whole life. I didn't want to be tracking calories my whole life. I wanted to eat food, enjoy it, but also choose healthier options and fuel my body so that I actually felt healthy in myself as well, without just constantly looking at the lower calorie option and feeling mentally and physically restricted. I knew that already, that was a miserable existence. I just really started to shift my mindset in terms of what was realistic for me and actually what I wanted deep down, and none of that was attached to get to a certain weight. Previous to that, I'd always been so focused on getting to a certain weight on the scale, and because our weight fluctuates so much, not only just day to day but also month to month during our cycle, and putting my happiness on a number on a scale was actually making me so miserable because it was something that I felt like I couldn't control, or when I did try to control, it started to control me, and it was just this mental battle. And occasionally now I do still weigh myself, so I do sort of see an average of weight over time. However, if people have an unhealthy relationship with scale, at times I actually think it's a good thing to come away from that and not rely on it either. Like I said, there's so many factors that can go into the number on the scale. A big thing for me was actually looking at different ways to measure my progress, whether that be photos, how my clothes felt, measurements, how I felt within myself. I actually started to feel leaner and healthier and feeling better in myself. Like I wanted to wear certain things when I started to feel more confident in myself. That had nothing to do with the scale. So going back to the nutrition aspect, what needed to change was finding peace with food again and starting to allow myself to eat foods without guilt, without restriction. And I've got other videos about my history in dieting for good, extreme hunger, but I know for me I had to come to peace with myself and with food again. So I needed to start to look at food as food and not this good or bad thing that I need to avoid. I needed to get to a place where I was eating food and enjoyed it without overeat or stress over it. And I've talked a bit about this on my channel before. Something that really helped me was being around people that I found inspiring with their relationships with food. So my friends, luckily for me, had a very healthy relationship with food. They would barely talk about diets. They wouldn't talk about tracking their calories. So I spent a lot of my time with them and look how they behaved around food, and noticed that, you know, when they were full, they would stop eating because they'd had enough. That was something that for me was very new, to more and more educate myself on what is a healthy relationship with food. How did these people that did have a healthy relationship with food, what were they thinking? How did they behave around food? Why was I overeating? What thoughts did I have? And this was a lot of the mindset work that I did on myself, which now I do with my clients to help them achieve a healthy relationship with food. So over time I was able to shift my mindset so that I was feeling a lot more calmer and normal around food, in all honesty. And another big part of this was understanding proper nutrition. So rather than calorie tracking all of the time, which is the only thing that I would really do previous to that. I actually started to educate myself on proper nutrition. So what effects do those foods have on us, our bodies, and our mental health and our physical health? How will that help me feel day to day? Instead of looking at food as, oh, this has 100 calories, this also has 100 calories, what would I rather eat? A Mars bar being 250 calories and then avocado on toast being 250 calories, and think, oh, well, I'm obviously going to go for the Mars bar because I'd rather have that. But over time that started to change because I was feeling more balanced around food. I knew I could have a Mars bar if I wanted to, but I would start to understand actually an avocado on toast will actually probably help me feel better long term, helping improve my health, my skin. It's going to help fuel me throughout the day a lot longer than say a Mars bar would. So looking at foods very, very differently and actually being more selective about how foods are going to help me feel, and also what contribution do they have to my actual physical health and mental health. Understanding proper nutrition was a big piece for that for me. I started to experiment with, and that had to come after finding peace with food. So I had to get to a place where I was comfortable eating all foods without feeling anxious or triggered or restricted, fully allow myself to eat those foods. And like I said, I'm a big foodie, and that has come over time, my realization that, do you know what, I love food, and kind of owning that. Before, I'd really tried to deny that part of me and think, no, because food is bad, food is gonna make me gain weight, I can't enjoy food. When actually it's a big part of my life now. I enjoy cooking, I enjoy eating out with friends, I enjoy so much traveling and trying new foods. Like, that is such a big pleasure for me. So it's understanding also that food isn't just about fueling your body, and we need food to fuel ourselves and feel good throughout the day, but food is also a source of pleasure. It means to socialize. Food is to be enjoyed, and accepting that within myself instead of trying to constantly deny myself pleasure from food. And then when it came to exercise, like I said, had always been a means to just burn off calories and to just punish myself for what I'd eaten throughout the day. It came through a lot of experimenting and being around other people I found was a positive influence around me, around exercise. I looked at how they viewed exercise and associated with exercise, and a lot of the time it was because they enjoyed the feeling of being fit, or they enjoyed the sport that they were in. They were trying to get better at something, whether it be get stronger, get fitter, improve a specific skill. Like, it was more about that than, oh my god, I need to do this to lose weight. I've found the most, and especially with my clients, the people that have this mindset that exercise is only going to help me lose weight, that's the only thing that I'm going to do it for, will never, usually they won't maintain it for the long term, and usually they'll really hate the process. They're only doing it to get a certain result, isn't rooted in, I think, happy place. I started to educate myself on other types of exercise. It was about experimenting and trying different types of exercise. I would do different classes with like my friend. I got into boxing and Olympic weightlifting, and they're big things that now I absolutely enjoy. Educate myself on the benefits of exercise, the different types of exercise. I looked at what are the benefits of weightlifting and getting stronger and building muscle. Over time, through my use of restrictive dieting, I damaged my metabolism quite a lot. So my metabolism was actually very slow. Big thing for me was actually building up my metabolism again so that my body was able to maintain my weight on a higher amount of food. And I did this by weightlifting and building muscle, which means now that I'm able to eat a lot more food and maintain my weight with a lot more ease. So I started to focus more on strength training, weightlifting, with a combination of some cardio exercises. But overall, I wasn't putting pressure on myself to do a certain amount of exercise every day. Because I had a healthier relationship with exercise and do it more long term, and I actually enjoyed it rather than resent it and dread it every single day. I was able to keep up with it and actually enjoy the process throughout, which massively is a game changer and helps to maintain long-term weight loss, because now I don't think twice about doing a workout. I actually enjoy it and I look forward to it, because I'm not doing it to get to a certain weight. I'm actually doing it because I enjoy it. I know the benefits of it. So in short, overall, my mindset was a big shift in how I was looking at food, my body and my weight, and that's an approach that now I take into what I do now and as well with my clients. But look at food now as a means to, how is this going to make me feel? How do I want to feel? So most of the time I want to feel healthy, fit and balanced. I want to feel energized. And sometimes that might mean that I'll choose pizza because I want to, because I enjoy those foods. However, other times I might choose the healthier option because I want to feel good and I want to improve my health. So I really now look at food completely different, as well as exercise. Like, I now look at exercise as a means to improve my overall health, my happiness, my mental health. And you're doing things behind a place of restricting yourself and punishing yourself and trying to set yourself up to these really high standards, you're never going to achieve it. And it becomes so miserable and so unrealistic, because you're just in this constant fight with yourself, fighting against your body. Whereas now, it's not just my physical health, but my mental health has improved massively, because now I can actually enjoy my life. I can enjoy time with friends. I can enjoy myself going out to eat, cooking food, experimenting with food, because before I was so rigid about the foods that I ate and it didn't actually get me any better results. This is future version Hetty sat in a turban because she's just washed her hair. And very thankful that I have washed my hair, because it's such a ball ache to do. But I realised whilst editing this video that I've completely forgotten to film an outro. So here's me signing this video off. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. It will really, really help me out and help my channel out. And subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Comment down below any other types of videos you want to see, and yeah, I really hope you found this video helpful.